Hello, everyone. Hello, nice to see you all. Welcome. Good morning. My name is Dr. Mindaugas Šarpis. I'm the head of LACB Vilnius, an experimental particle physics research group here in Vilnius, Lithuania. It's a fairly new group, and I come from fundamental science. I'll be chairing the session and leading the discussion later on. We start in English first, and then discussion will be in Lithuanian. I'm sure the colleagues will be able to translate if you so wish. Our stage today is called From Promise to Progress, Radiopharmaceuticals Shaping the Future of Oncology. Radioligand therapies are redefining the future of precision oncology. It is a testament to how direct applications of science, very fundamental science, brings benefits to our patients, our healthcare system, and deliver everlasting effects. To start using radioligand therapies and precision oncology therapies, we need to take a systematic approach. We need to align the policy making, the healthcare system, and the clinical leaders as well. So without further ado, to bring us up to speed, to introduce a little bit what we will be talking about, I will start with a video contribution from our colleague Thierry Stora. He is a representative of PRISMAP and CERN-MEDICIS experiment. The video is titled Enabling a New Generation of Radiopharmaceuticals. Please fire away.
Hello everyone, welcome to this Life Sciences Baltics conference. It's my pleasure to give you this introductory talk. And as an introduction, we have witnessed for the actually past few years an impressive increase in the use of targeted radionuclide therapy, radiotherapeutics, with a large success and a striking example that one of the radiopharmaceuticals, Pluvicto, has actually reached the status of blockbuster, as actually was already anticipated in this graph, and that happened, if I'm right, last year. So in the back of this large success, which was taking place in Europe, we need actually a framework for biomedical researchers and clinicians to come up with new radiotherapeutics. And one of the most important ingredients, besides of course the ligand and the identification of the target, is to provide these radionuclides as active ingredients, because they are actually the few. They are the ones to have the right properties for providing a physical treatment, as opposed to chemotherapy or radioimmunotherapy, for instance, or immunotherapy without radio. And Europe actually has identified that as well recently as a need for the European nuclear medicine landscape, and they supported the action of a so-called European Radioisotope Initiative, which is trying to establish a constant supply chain for these radionuclides, either used in clinical practice or for research purpose, and that's the nature of the PRISMAP program, which I will tell you a little bit more. So actually we know that in, for instance, the US there is a very strong program from the DOE, the Department of Energy. This is the National Isotope Development Center. But we were surprised when we came to one of their frontier research conference last year that they were telling that they would like to have a similar program as the PRISMAP program we've been able to implement for the past 4 years in Europe. And if you want to see the nature, the DNA of this PRISMAP program, is you can apply as a researcher, as a biomedical researcher, for one of these radionuclides. You see it's much more than a few of those, like you would have technetium-99, fluorine-18, and iodine-169, 1931, and more recently, of course, lutetium in 1977. So there is a small portfolio of radionuclides which have very diverse properties, either for stability and use in bioconjugate, or eventually having special physical characteristics like so-called alpha emitters. And this is then all the yellow squares where you see that already there's a few of those which may provide very important benefits. And this is probably what's going to happen in the coming years with one of those, and probably several of those. So what PRISMAP, this program, has been able to do, so it's a consortium of 23 institutes, which is actually being submitted for prolongation. That's a consortium which manages or combines leading cyclotrons, leading research reactors, and innovative isotope mass separation. And with this combination in the supply chain of these facilities, we have the possibility to provide new purity grades and new type of radionuclides. And here on this chart you see the number of projects which have been able to benefit for the research in radiopharmaceutical, and so more than 45 projects were selected, and what was striking is actually 2/3 of those were selected the past 2 years for being provided with this innovative radionuclides. And actually there has been some outcome from PRISMAP already, with this short time of coordination of this supply in Europe. You can see already that there are I would say a small fraction of these projects which are aiming to have a translation phase, or at least to have a first phase in human applications. And one of those is with new radionuclides, which may actually, we may hear of it in the near future, because it seems to have interesting properties as compared, for instance, to the one which is used with Pluvicto lutetium lutetium-177. So this Therium-161 for the first time then was filed for a phase 1 or phase 0 application in Italy for prostate cancer indication. The second project is a project hosted in a German hospital, and it deals with the full theranostics capacity of an alpha-emitting isotopes lead-212, which was provided by CERN-MEDICIS, but then which was in the research phase combined with an imaging isotope lead-203, which was produced at the RNX cyclotron. And you see already the strength of a PRISMAP network where you can provide both imaging and therapeutic radionuclides. And so they were in a prospect to be having a translation to the clinics, but this is still in the I would say intermediate stage before it really reaches the clinical stage. And the last project which then could reach the clinical application is a project hosted in France, in Bordeaux, and there this is then with the radionuclides was provided by PRISMAP. There was the possibility for them to collect enough evidence so that they would apply for checking whether the zebrafish embryo model could serve as evaluating the toxicity or the non-toxicity of the radiopharmaceutical to be used in clinical settings. So with the success of this PRISMAP program, you see now that this is we are moving into a new phase, and this is being submitted and will hopefully be funded until 2029. And you see here the portfolio, which has extended a little, as well as the geographical reach, and of course the Baltic region is covered, but you see not far from here the Scandinavian regions, and much south would be so you see that now then with PRISMAP Plus we believe that the reach for researchers may increase even further as compared with the previous PRISMAP program. So to get an idea on what you need to provide innovative techniques to supply these radionuclides here, this is one example where you have to irradiate a target in an accelerator, either in proton accelerators or cyclotrons or isotopes. Then you can do mass separation, and you extract an isotope which is very interesting because it can be used as a mother, as a feeding isotopes for providing short-range radiation to the tissues. Radium-165, but which of course is too short-lived to be transported. Hence the idea and the possibility to have a production of mother isotopes for having the time of purification and transportation. So as my last slide, then here you can see that indeed we have here a fast-moving landscape of not only new radiobioconjugate which can target new type of tissues, but as well radionuclides which are fast evolving and started with alpha therapy with radium-223, which was marketed by Bayer, to the present day marketed products which are reaching the blockbuster aspect with lutetium dotatate or lutetium PSMA for as Victor, the marketed brand. And you see here that there are some others in the back. We spoke about this samarium-153, which was used in a palliative treatment for metastasis located in bones. But with this capacity of doing mass separation, so that you can make a high activity samarium-153, which then can be a perfect match to a new generation of radioligands which are targeting the fibroblast. And as a conclusion, so we are confident that with the promotion of this integrated network, PRISMAP and PRISMAP Plus at the level of the European level, but as well with the innovative techniques, as I have shown you with this isotope mass separation to reach high specific activity, that will be able to provide innovative isotopes so that you do have innovative treatments or techniques which can see upcoming in Europe in the coming years. And as a final note, we had the pleasure to have Professor Dave Thompson visiting us last year, and he's actually the co-inventor of PET-CT, which was the first proof of concept was happening in Geneva Hospital. And to show you, it was only 45 years ago that the first PET-CT was conceived. So with this, I thank you for your attention and wish you a very successful continuation of the workshop.
Okay, thanks, Thierry. Okay, I was always wondering what's happening in this Medici experiment at CERN. I'm for 12 years there and I have no idea. So, not quite. Next up, we have an in-person speaker, a keynote presentation titled Delivering Precision, Estonia's Blueprint for Radioligand Therapy Implementations. Please give a round warm welcome to the head of Nuclear Medicine Department at Tartu University Hospital, Dr. Tiina.
So, good morning, everybody. It is nice to be here and nice to see so many experts in the field of radiopharmacy and the clinical field. So I would like to give you a quick overview of what is going on in Estonia when we talk about radioligand treatment. My disclosures. The presentation is supported by Novartis, but content not affected by it. Radioligand treatment is a targeted cancer cell treatment. So when we have whatever kind of cell, is it a normal cell or a cancer cell, it has a lot of ligands or receptors or transporters on the cell surface. And so when we know how to target them, then we can use the ligand radionuclide compound. So basically the ligand attaches itself to the cell surface and it carries radionuclide. And the possibilities are very large, but right now we use in clinical practice maybe 4, 5 possible cell transporters or receptors. So we have a lot of development we are waiting for eagerly. And I cannot go by the word theranostics when I talk about radioligand therapy. It means before therapy, we can do diagnostics with the same, basically the same pharmaceutical. So I will show you on this picture. With molecular imaging, the difference is we use the ligand with a short half-life radioisotope, which emits either gamma rays or is a positron emitter. So we have a gamma camera or a PET-CT scanner. But for therapy, we take the same ligand and we use a compound that carries a long beta emitter or alpha emitter. So this is the basic principle. And here is I brought out 2 advantages. Of course, we have many more advantages, but these are the basic ones, that these treatments are better tolerated compared to, for example, classical chemotherapy. And we see that on our patients a lot. And the treatment is very precise. As I mentioned, this diagnostic approach, then here is an example to it. This is somatostatin receptor tetrotype scan. We see large liver lesions of a neuroendocrine tumor which actively take up the somatostatin ligand. And now here we have the same patient after the first course of treatment with the after lutetium dotatate, with this therapy targeting the somatostatin receptors, and it's combined with a short half-life, with a long half-life, so we can see it. But how we can see it? Because it's for therapy. Because these therapy agents always carry a slight part of gamma rays. So this is how we can also picture the treatment. So for example, when the hair is aching, you take ibuprofen, you just believe it's going to work, but we see exactly where it went. And the situation in Estonia now is we have 3 basically equal nuclear medicine centers. 2 are in our capital, in Tallinn, and we are located in Tartu. We have a 2-hour car drive distance. Our population is not big, it's definitely smaller than in Latvia and in Lithuania. We don't have a cyclotron, so everything we must import from other countries. And this is how we started. First treatment in Estonia, year 57. We can also classify those iodine treatments basically as a radioligand, because the ligand is in this case the iodine symporter. And so it went, a small pause, and then started again in 95. Maybe some small experimental things are missing here. And all the ones that are marked in green are that we are actually using actively every day today. Different reasons why we don't do the Zevalin anymore or the CERT anymore. And in Estonia, per year, it's the last year, the numbers are not big. but the population is not large. And maybe oncologists have done great work because most of the treatments are indicated with the metastatic cancers. The largest amount is hyperthyroidism, thyroid cancer patients, radiation treatment for prostate cancer, bone metastasis, lutetium PSMA treatment for prostate cancer, metastatic prostate cancer, neuroendocrine tumor patients, also metastatic with lutetium dotatate, and MIBG treatment with neuroblastoma. And these are the numbers of patients. So one treatment course consists about 4, 6, 8 doses. We don't manage always to perform all the doses, but we try to. So, for example, this PSMA receptor treatment, we do usually we do the first 2 cycles, and then we gather together with oncologists and decide again if we should continue. And then after 3rd and 4th treatment, we again decide if we should continue and to go and do all the cycles. And this one MIBG patient was a small boy with a metastatic neuroendocrine tumor, and it was a combination therapy which we did in Estonia for the first time. It's based on the Veritas protocol from Karolinska University. So, and we are actually very happy we don't have those patients because they are usually children with metastatic cancer. And so this Congress has also a very nice section of startups. So I thought, in a way, in nuclear medicine, we are startuppers. When we want to do something new, we need an idea. This is a manageable thing, yes. We go to conferences, congresses, talk to colleagues, read news. We get the idea. Then we need a radiopharmaceutical. When we talk about treatment, this is not a problem, because it has a long half-life, so we can order them from basically all over the world if necessary. Then we need the know-how, how to do it. It's not easy, but it's also manageable. We need to have the whole team to get the best knowledge, to know what we must do, to not make any mistakes. So we have a team of physicians, technologists, nurses, physicists, caretakers. Everybody must know exactly about those new treatments. But when we come to cost and reimbursement, then this is usually a problem. There is always a gap between the medical indications. So when we as doctors decide we want to do the treatment, we have the patient, and the Estonian Health Insurance Fund is not ready yet. So what shall we do then? All the well-established radionuclide treatments are reimbursed in Estonia, except only the lutetium PSMA receptor treatment. And what happens then? Should the patient have its own financing? Can we turn to some charity fund? I would like to introduce you one possible way that in Estonia has become very popular, this fund called Gift of Life, or Kingitud Elu, it's their logo. Wherever you go around in Estonia, you might see that logo somewhere. It has been a real success story for Estonian cancer patients, and it started as it's a private initiative fund, and it was funded by a journalist approximately 10 years ago, whose mother died of cancer, but during the last year of life she got money from donations and prolonged her life. For example, they are saying almost a year with those not radiopharmaceutical treatments, but all the other pharmaceuticals she got from a fund. They were very expensive, and before she passed away, she and her son started this fund for other people. Last year, for example, this fund received 4.5 million euros. No government foundation donations at all, only individuals and private companies. and they use all of it. Maybe sometimes they're even in a slight minus. And this is a great chance in Estonia to use this fund for new things. So if you don't have this fund in Latvia or Lithuania, I know we should give this idea ahead, like it's a great thing. And I think the part of nuclear medicine treatments, it's like only the 1%, maybe even less. So, and they say that they don't only help patients, but also doctors to do the work. And they have treated during the first years 2,000 patients, so it's quite a lot. So feel free to ask any questions. As a final slide, I would like to show you my team. And we have 12 members, 2 doctors, 1 resident, 5 technicians, 0 nurses. We educate our technicians as much as possible with the nursing skills. 1 medical physicist, who I can say is the backbone of our department and of our work. 1 radiopharmacist and 1 patient caregiver. So here you can see our old PET-CT system. We found when I started making these presentations that most of our pictures were made during the time when we sent away our old system, so we got very nostalgic about it. Here's the new one, here's our team standing, and we are now learning to use the new automatic injector we have. So this is our, and the equipment we are using is we have 1 PET-CT, we have 1 SPECT, and a GMP Class C lab, and 4 patient rooms for treatment. And as you see on this picture, the doses for technologists sometimes can get quite high, so radiation protection is our #1 topic every day. And we don't only do work, we like to spend time together. So thank you. And I would like to thank my colleagues who gave me information and numbers from their hospital, and Novartis for inviting me.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tiina. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear what's happening on the other side of Latvia. Okay, next up we have a keynote titled "Delivering Value: Country-Led Strategies Embracing Radiopharmaceuticals," and it is brought to us by our colleague from Novartis, Ben, who is Executive Director for Public Affairs in the Western European Cluster. Ben, take it away.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and it's so great to be here today. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not from Lithuania, I'm not European, I am Australian, so I do apologise for my accent in advance. But I'm absolutely delighted to be here today to talk about this really important topic. It's great to be in this beautiful city, it's great to be in this part of the world and in this country that's really valuing innovation and the life sciences sector. And the topic for me today is how do we actually embrace that and ensure patients get access to these new technologies that we call radioligand therapies. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge the Vice Minister for being here today and to acknowledge the work that the Lithuanian government has been doing to really create a thriving ecosystem for radioligand therapies and ultimately for patient access. I'd also like to acknowledge the clinicians and the researchers in the room today, because without them, we wouldn't have this technology to deliver to patients. And if I can give my key point for this presentation up front, it is that only by working together, government, industry, clinicians, academics, can we ensure that patients get access to these treatments, which have the potential to transform the way that we treat cancer, starting with prostate cancer. Now, before I dive deeper into how we work together, everyone in this room is impacted by cancer in some way, me included. And I'd like to start by just raising the conversation and really focusing on what matters, and that is about patients and patient access to life-saving or life-extending treatments. Now, without giving my age away, I kind of will, but this photo was taken 38 years ago that's me in the blue. And that is the last time that I saw my granddad, who passed away from advanced prostate cancer. So I know that everybody here is motivated to do the right thing at Novartis. It's the patient that matters, and I know that everyone in this room is working hard every day to make sure that we get these treatments and new innovations to patients as quickly as possible. And my mum and my aunt here are in the picture as well. Both of them have gone through similar challenges. And again, with the pipeline of new medicines coming through, we'll be able to make sure that patients have access to the right treatments at the right time. Now, we did hear from the previous speakers about the amazing science behind radioligand therapies and nuclear medicine. We have reached a critical moment in radioligand therapy, and we'll start talking about prostate cancer, but beyond prostate cancer, Novartis has an extensive pipeline when it comes to radioligand therapies, with about 14 different assets looking at 17 different cancer types. So the potential for radioligand therapies to transform cancer outcomes is extraordinary. And it's not just Novartis, it's the entire sector, it's the researchers and the clinicians who are really driving this forward. So, what do we need to do to actually get these medicines to patients and ensure we have a system in place where we can encourage a thriving nuclear medicine and a radioligand therapy sector? Essentially, as I said, it's all about patient access, but to do that, we need to work in partnership to increase capacity in healthcare systems to ensure we can actually deliver these medicines to patients, ensuring we have the workforce in place to be able to manufacture, run clinical trials and deliver these treatments to patients. How do we ensure we've got the right legislation and policies to ensure equitable and affordable access, which is a really important part, which comes to the third part, which I think is the most fundamental component, is how do we ensure patients have affordable and equitable reimbursed access to these treatments into the future. Now, in my very short time remaining, I'm going to give two examples from around the world on countries that are really driving radioligand therapies forward. And I think from my perspective and what I've been told by my colleagues here in the region is that Lithuania and other Baltic countries are really driving this as well when it comes to working together in partnership. Now, this is a very busy slide, so I don't expect you to have time to read it all. But essentially, Belgium has really led the way when it comes to bringing the ecosystem together and ultimately getting these treatments to patients. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating the point, it's only by working together across government, across industry, across the research sector can we make this happen. So in 2024, all these stakeholders came together to really think about what needs to happen to get these treatments to patients. And they created an RLT action plan, which had the support across the entire ecosystem. There was a lot of work happening over many, many years with researchers and clinicians driving the science forward. But the key challenge is how do we bring this together? So the action plan was very tangible, particularly on the things that needed to change in the healthcare ecosystem to deliver these patient access to medicines. Looking at how does radioligand therapy become a key component of cancer plans? How do we make sure that it's not being forgotten about given the full potential? How do we make sure we have appropriate safety guidelines and regulations to get these treatments to patients as well? But beyond the health outcomes, the Belgium cross-functional and cross-sectoral team also looked at what's the economic opportunity for Belgium in getting this ecosystem right. So access to radioligand therapies also drives future investment in clinical trials, in research and development. So the huge potential is obviously around health outcomes, but also around the broader benefits to the economy that these new treatments and these new technologies and innovations can bring to a particular country. Belgium's also on the EU stage, and I'm sure many colleagues in the room have seen some of the roundtables that the Belgian government and stakeholders have been holding really to drive this forward across Europe. But ultimately, again, I come back to the fourth pillar. All of these things are really important, but the most critical element is ensuring that we can have pathways to reimbursed patient access to these treatments. Because if we're only focused on the research, which is very important, we're missing a big part of the problem, and that's actually getting these treatments to patients who need them the most. Now, being Australian, I have to actually mention Australia in my presentation. And Australia is one of those countries that has a very large ambition when it comes to radioligand therapies, with a big focus on becoming a global centre of excellence. And I think the Baltics and Lithuania as well could be looking at how do you become a hub and a regional leader in this space. But in Australia, again, the narrative is very similar. There's cross-sector partnerships, and again, it's beyond medicine, it's beyond health. It's actually looking at the circular economy when it comes to the nuclear sector. How do we work together across different fields? Again, a different context in Australia, but how do we work across the mining sector, the healthcare sector, the environmental sector to actually bring radioligand therapies to life? In Australia, again, there's lots of infrastructure in place, similar to Lithuania, world-leading and the Baltics, world-leading researchers, great facilities, and there's a growing expectation in Australia and around the world that patients will get access to these treatments. The big gap in Australia is the ongoing discussion around the reimbursed access, and there's a quote here from Anne Savage, who's a fierce advocate for patients with prostate cancer in particular, around the urgency and the importance of reimbursed access. So again, working in partnership across the ecosystem, making sure the healthcare system has the infrastructure in place to be able to deliver the services, the importance of ongoing collaboration with clinicians. All of these things are critical, but again, without reimbursed patient access, we're missing a critical part of the puzzle when it comes to realising the full potential of radioligand therapies around the world. So in summing up, together we can by working together we can reimagine cancer care. And again, I do want to acknowledge everybody in this room for the work that you do in working every day to transform the lives of patients here in Lithuania and in the Baltics. But my 3 key points to take away, what do we need to do? Well, we need to keep optimising healthcare systems, making sure we have the infrastructure in place to deliver the services, working together, and actually not being afraid to work together. I think only collectively can we make a big impact. And we'll hear more across today around the panel session around how do we do that. But ultimately, if we're going to make a difference to the lives of patients, if we're going to really maximise the full potential of radioligand therapies, not just for patients with prostate cancer, but for patients with breast cancer, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, other solid tumours in the future, then we really need to make sure that patients have affordable access, easy access to these groundbreaking treatments. And with that, I will close and thank you for the opportunity for being here today.
Pakviesiu diskusijos prelegentus iš karto. Gal iš karto prisėskite ir aš jūs pristatysiu. Prašom užeiti. Aš antrą kartą neprisistatinėsiu, jau prisistačiau angliškai. Prisėdam, įsipatoginam. Tai taip, reiškia čia šviesa, nieko nepadarysi. Man iš kairės, o jums iš dešinės, yra profesorius Donatas Vajauskas, Kauno klinikų branduolinės medicinos centro vadovas. Prašom pasitikti, profesorių Donatą. Taip. Toliau turime daktarą asocijuotą profesorių Valdą Pečeliūną, direktorių, Nacionalinio vėžio centro direktorių Lietuvoje. Sveiki. Taip, ir turime viceministrą sveikatos apsaugos ministerijos Lietuvoje Daniel Naumovas. Sveiki. Programa angliškai surašyta, tokia sakinių struktūra ir gaunasi. Prieš pradėdami diskusiją turėsime trumpą video reportažą iš buvusios pacientės Daivos. Jeigu galim, pasižiūrėkim video.
14 metų birželio mėnesį man atliko 4 stadijos neuroendokrininių navikų šalinimo operaciją. Po jos liko metastazės kepenyse. 2014 metų lapkričio mėnesį prasidėjo gydymas somatostatino analogų landirotidu. Sekėsi labai gerai, kol 2021 metų Liepos liepos mėnesį atliktų MRT tyrimų išvadoje buvo parašyta: stebimas ligos progresavimas, padidėjo esami židiniai kepenyse ir atsirado nauji. Ir man labai pasisekė, nes kaip tik tuo metu Kauno klinikų branduolinės medicinos skyrius pagal ankstyvųjų prieinamumo programą galėjo taikyti peptidų receptorių radionuklidinę terapiją. Prieš pradedant gydymą jaučiau nedidelį nerimą, bet kai pamačiau, kaip profesionaliai dirba šios skyriaus gydytojai, sesutės, vyrukai fizikai, nerimas iš karto dingo. Visas gydymas vyko labai sklandžiai. Komanda dirbo tiksliai kaip šveicariškas laikrodis. Gavau pilną 4 ciklų gydymą. Pirmos 2 procedūros buvo atliktos 2021 metais, 3 ir 4 2022 metais. Po šių gydymų savijauta pagerėjo, sumažėjo raumenų pylimas, karščio pylimai pasidarė labai reti, visiškai nustojau viduriuoti. Po gydymų pas onkologį lankiausi kas 3 mėnesiai. Reguliariai buvo atliekami tyrimai. 2022 metų rugsėjo mėnesių MRT tyrimų išvada, kad didieji židiniai sumažėjo. Praėjus metams, 2023 metų balandžio mėnesį MRT tyrimų išvada, kad atsirado naujų smulkių židinių. Todėl atnaujinau gydymą somatostatino analogu. Paskutinis MRT tyrimas, kuris buvo atliktas šių metų liepos mėnesį, išvada liga stabili. Aš gyvenu, dirbu, džiaugiuosi kiekvieną dieną. Noriu nuoširdžiai palinkėti visiems ligoniams, kad jiems pasisektų taip, kaip pasisekė man, kad laiku gautų patį efektyviausią gydymą ir tikėtų, kad viskas bus gerai.
Taip. Džiaugiamės pacientės sėkme ir linkim sveikatos. Pirmas klausimas profesoriui Donatui Vajauskui. Kaip matom iš pacientės irgi liudijimo, radioligandų terapija Lietuvoje neatsiranda vakuume. Mes suprantam šios pažangios terapijos potencialą ir turime tam tikros patirties Lietuvoje. Gal galėtume šiek tiek nušviesti, kaip, tarkim, buvo gydymas taikytas ir kokia yra patirtis iki šiol radioligandų taikyme Lietuvoje?
Ačiū už klausimą. Pradžioj vis tiek labai noriu padėkoti kolegijai iš Estijos, Tiinai, už pristatymą, nes manau, kad auditorija ne tik tai gydytojai, kurie dirba su radioligandų terapija, bet truputį ir kitų specializacijų žmonės. Tai svarbiausias aspektas čia prasideda nuo branduolinės medicinos šakos teranostika, kuri koduoja 2 žodžius. Tai yra terapija ir diagnostika. Diagnostika yra labai svarbus elementas, kaip matėt, nes būtent pažangus diagnostiniai metodai mums leidžia atrinkti pacientus, kurie yra tinkami radioligandų terapijai. Lygiai taip pat šie diagnostiniai metodai, jie padeda mums prognozuoti, tai kokį tikėtiną rezultatą mes gausime. Lygiai taip pat šie metodai gali atsakyti, kad pacientas galbūt daugiau naudos turės ir iš įprastinio gydymo, kurį taiko gydytojai onkologai. Kita grandis labai svarbi yra terapija, kada galim pritaikyti spinduliuotę, kad sunaikinti navikinį audinį. Tai gal šiek tiek skirtumas nuo konvencinės spindulinės terapijos, kad ne iš išorės spinduliuojam į naviką, bet nunešam tiesiai į ląstelę, į vėžinę ląstelę ir jau veikiam ją tiesiogiai, betarpiškai prisikabindami. Tai ko mums reikia? Mums reikia turėti pažangius diagnostinius metodus. Džiaugiamės, kad šią prieigą Lietuvoje turime ir galim užtikrinti savo pacientams. Ko reikia toliau? Reikia tapačių molekulių, kurios tinka terapijai, nes turim nueiti tuo pačiu biocheminiu keliu ir nunešti vaistą su radioaktyvumu tiesiai į tą vietą, kur yra navikas. Na ir žinoma, reikia specialistų, ar ne? Reikia specialistų, kurie geba integruoti šias 2 dalis ir kurie turi patirties. Tai patirties turime, kaip matėme iš pacientės pasakojimo, 21-22 metai turėjom galimybę taikyti radioligandų terapiją ir tikrai labai džiaugiamės rezultatais. Kalbant apie pačią radioligandų terapiją, reikėtų gal pažymėti tokį dalyką, kad tai yra taikinių terapija, nutaikyta labai tiksliniai į navikinę audinį. Privalumas tai, kad veikiam stipriai naviką ir kitas privalumas, kad mažai veikiam sistemiškai pacientą. Čia galima būtų pacituoti Paul Ehrlich, 1906 metai, tokį terminą panaudotą magic bullet, ar ne, kada šaunam ir pataikom į taikinį. Nesvarbu, kaip šausim, vis tiek į taikinį pataikysim. Taip ir vaisto veikimas užtikrinamas, įleidžiamas intraveniškai, keliauja jau į patį naviką ir atlieka savo darbą. Na ir labai svarbus aspektas tikriausiai šios terapijos yra preciziškumas ir personalizacija. Tai preciziškai taip išsiaiškinom, važiuojam į naviką, bet personalizacija tai mes dar žiūrim ir į žmogų, kaip jisai tą gydymą priima. Ir čia labai svarbus dalykas pažymėti, kad nepaisant to, kad mes turime įprastinius 6, sakykime, terapinius ciklus prostatos vėžiui, 4 ciklus neuroendokriniam navikam, bet jau turime duomenų rodančių, kad tie pacientai, kurie ypatingai gerai reaguoja į šitą gydymą, jau galim jiems personalizuoti, kaip ir šių metų Difranko publikacija Annals of Nuclear Medicine, kurie tyrinėjo pacientus, kurie labai gerai atsakė, po 2 terapinių ciklų labai puikus rezultatas gautas terapinis ir po 3 ciklo jiems buvo stabdomas gydymas. Tai iš kur atsiranda nauda? Atsiranda nauda tai, kad vėžį tai mes nužudėm, bet pacientą tuo pačiu mes ir pasaugome.
Taip, ačiū labai, profesoriau. Kaip jau ir sakėte, ir kaip supratau, ši terapija yra šiek tiek kitokia negu tiesiog naujo modernaus vaisto ar medikamento arba aparato nupirkimas. Reikia sistematinio požiūrio, reikia taikyti būtent konkrečiam pacientui ir mums reikės Lietuvoje tam tikrų turbūt ir priemonių tiek klinikoje, tiek kitose srityse, kad galima būtų tokią terapiją taikyti. Aš tada pereisiu prie daktaro Valdo Pečeliūno. Norėčiau paklausti, Jūsų nuomonė, kiek Lietuva yra pasiruošusi platesniam radioligandų terapijos taikymui ir su kokiais barjerais galime susidurti?
Matot, pasiruošimas yra tęstinis procesas ir greičiausiai tęstinumas yra tas raktinis žodis, reiškia nuoseklumas, kai mes galim pasiekti sėkmės. Čia yra galbūt čempionų savybė, lyderių savybė, užtikrinta tęstinumą, nuoseklumą ir siekti tikslų. Ir aš noriu pastebėti gal, kad tai, kad mes šiandien čia kalbam apie tai, yra absoliučiai dalis mūsų pasiruošimo. Ir tai atspindi, kad tai yra mūsų mintise, mūsų galvose, mūsų darbuose ir aš vertinu šitą renginį kaip labai svarbią dalį mūsų pasiruošimo. O jeigu žiūrėti ir atsakyti klausimą, ar mes pasiruošę, aš vis tik skaidyčiau tą atsakymą į 2 dalis. Yra trumpasis laikotarpis ir ilgesnis laikotarpis. Jeigu žiūrėti vėlgi į patį pasiruošimo procesą, tai mes turim klausimą kompetencijų, mes turim klausimą reguliacijos, mes turim klausimą resursų, siaurąja prasme finansavimo, plačiaja prasme šiek tiek daugiau negu finansavimas. Ir jeigu kalbam apie tą trumpojo laikotarpio pasirengimą, pradėti platesnių mastų taikyti radioligandų terapiją, visos grandys yra savo vietoj ir mes tikrai galim startuoti. Aš nesakau, kad situacija yra ideali, tikrai tobulinimo reikia visose srityse. Ir aš gal akcentuočiau vieną dalyką. Mano galva šiandien iš tikrųjų atsiliekam pagal prieinamą pozitronų emisijos tomografiją kiekį Lietuvoje. Ant prezentacijų yra 3, Lietuvoje turim tik 2, tai labai didesnė populiacija ir mažesnis skaičius pozitronų emisijos tomografijos. Tai čia yra toks realus trūkumas, kuris netgi ir pačioj pradžioj šiek tiek trūkumas. Bet žiūrint šiek tiek toliau, į tolesnę perspektyvą, ir ką Benas savo prezentacijoje parodė, tai yra capacity. Tai yra mūsų augimas, apimčių augimas iš tikrųjų susidurs su iššūkiais, iš esmės visose mano išvardintose srityse. Aš galbūt akcentuočiau tą dalyką ir vėliau iliustruosiu keliais skaičiais. Tai yra, mums labai svarbu vis tik tai turėti tą horizonto skenavimo įprotį. Ir ne tik įprotį, bet metodologija, technologija turi būti visose grandyse. Ir institucijose, turiuomenį valdžios, ir ligoninėse, kad žinotumėm, kas ateina, kad galėtumėm tam pasiruošti, o kad neateina ši diena, turim kažką pradedam ruoštis. Tai tas tiesiog sukelia tokį chaoso nepasiruošimo įspūdį. Mes žinom, kad šiai dienai mes Lietuvoje turim apie 200 pacientų, kuriem taikom radiofarmacinės priemonės ar radiofarmacinį gydymą, susidaro iki 1000 dozių, mums reikia apie 2-3 tūkstančių lavadinių, bet žiūrint į netgi artimą perspektyvą, mes greičiausiai turėsim mažiausiai 500 pacientų, kuriem atitinkamai reikės iki 10 tūkstančių lavadinių. Ką tas reiškia, kad turėsim turėti apie 40 lovų šiai dienai, gerai įrengtų greičiausiai turim 10-15 lovų, su tuo susiję ir personalo skaičiai. Taip kad turim labai rimtą augimo iššūkį, kurį jau dabar turim pradėti planuoti. Ir vėlgi, čia labai svarbus bendradarbiavimas su institucijom, kad būtų ir tinkami resursai. Vienas labai dar svarbus dalykas, tai manau, kad mes vėlgi turim labai stipriai atkreipdėmėsi į mūsų mokslo tyrimus, į mūsų būtent klinikinių tyrimų vystymą, net ir fundamentinių tyrimų vystymą šitoj srity tam, kad ateitų inovacijos, požiūris į būtent mokslo turi būti labai atidus ir aš džiaugiuosi Sveikatos apsaugos ministerijos iniciatyvom pradėti finansavimą klinikinių tyrimų programų.
Taip, ačiū labai už atsakymą. Man visada patinka dėmesys fundamentiniam mokslui. Ir paskutinis klausimas, nes mūsų laikas bėga į pabaigą viceministrui. Radioligandų terapija yra pažangus, reikalaujantis naujo sisteminio požiūrio gydymas. Reikia naujų sprendimų, savalaikių sprendimų. Ar esame pasiruošę iš reguliacinės pusės ir kokius dar žingsnius turime atlikti, kas jau atlikta ir kaip integruosime visą šitą grandinę, kaip kiti prelegentai pasakė, kad viskas sklandžiai vyktų 5-10 metų bėgy?
Tai pirmiausia, nežinau, kaip geriau atsakyti kaip mokslininkui ir kaip politikui, tai gal pabandysiu per vidurkį. Pirmiausia, mes kaip ir komanda mūsų ministerijoje, čia tikriausiai pirmą kartą, kad beveik dauguma turi PhD laipsnį, tai yra dauguma mokslininkai. Ir mes norime visus savo sprendimus priimti grįstus duomenimis. Ir pirmą kartą yra viceministras, tai aš įdarbintas būtent už inovacijas. Nebuvo tokios kuravimo srities bendrai. Inovacijos, AI ir taip toliau. Tai aš esu biased tuo tikslu, kad kuo labiau prastumti, kuo naujasnės technologijos. Mano backgroundas yra, aš esu nanobiotechnologas, tai aš ir šiek tiek šitą dalį labai suprantu, bet ir ląstelių, ir genų terapijas, tai visi šitie dalykai yra labai reikalingi ir jie kuo greičiau turėtų ateiti į Lietuvą. Tik tais mes turime suprasti, kiek mes galime investuoti. Mes turime daug įdomių dalykų, mes turime daug gerų ekspertų ir turėtume investuoti į tai, kas atneša daugiausiai naudos. Jeigu kuo daugiau mes matysime tokių pavyzdžių, kaip pacientė kalbėjo, tai yra nuostabiausia. Ir mes kaip ministerija mes esame pasiruošę kuo daugiau panašių sprendimų kompensuoti, jeigu aiškiai matosi rezultatai. Tai tikrai, jeigu mes matome, kad galime išgelbėti gyvybę, kad galime prailginti gyvenimą, kad žmogus grįžta į darbą, žmogus vėliau moka mokesčius ir mes atgal atgauname kaip šalis tos pinigus, easy. Bet labai svarbu, kaip atrinkti tuos būtent gydymus, kurie iš tiesų tokie yra. Mes žinome, kaip ir su vaistais, kai kurie ateina, kurie ten prailgina 3 mėnesiam gyvenimo, kainuoja 100 000, tai mes suprantame, kad turi būti mechanizmas, kaip tą atrinkti. Kalbant, kaip ir klausime buvo apie reguliavimą, mes esame dabartiniai situacijai pasiruošę, mes visiškai pasitikime mokslininkais ir pasiruošę sukurti reguliavimą, kad kuo palankesnis būtų reguliavimas, būtent inovacijoms, kad kuo greičiau jie ateiti. Bet prie šito reguliacijų dar ateina investicijos ir kompensavimas, kad tos paslaugos būtų rutininės. Tai kad tos paslaugos taptų rutininiam, tai mes turime įsitikinti, kad tikrai yra nauda didesnė ir mes kaip šalis galime nupirkti šitą. Ir aš manau, kad su tokiais pavyzdžiais tikrai gali ateiti. Dalis ląstelių terapijų, dalis genų terapijų ir dalis radio ir nukleo įvairių terapijų. Kalbant apie investicijas, kad nupirkti naujus petus ar panašią įrangą, tai čia jau sudėtingiau. Mes bendrai finansinės mūsų ištekliai jau pasibaigė, mes geopolitinė situacija, kur ruošiamės dieną X galbūt ir viską atiduodame gynybai, tai tikrai labai daug brangios įrangos dabar pažadėti sunku, nors jau šiemet irgi pažadėjome, kad ir dar vienas petas atsiras tikrai Lietuvoje ir atskira kita brangi įranga atsiras. Ir tik atsiradus galimybė finansinį, galbūt su naujom europinėm struktūriniam lėšom, mes norime investuoti kuo daugiau į inovacijas sveikatos ir norime bendrai pirmą kartą padaryti, kad ir sveikatos ministerija turėtų tokį krepšelį pinigų inovacijoms. Ne tik, kad per EIMINą eitume ekonomikos inovaciją arba per švietimą, kad ir sveikata galėtų tą daryti. Tai mes turime tą agendą ir su ją einame.
Ačiū labai, ačiū už atsakymą. Deja, šią labai gerą gaidą turim diskusiją ir pabaigti, nes mūsų laikas baigėsi. Bet ačiū visiems prelegentam ir ačiū visai auditorijai, kad klausėt. Tai va, ir manau, kad ateitis yra šviesi, o geopolitinė situacija tikiuosi irgi pasikeis. Sėkmės visiems.